this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be With Bethany Frankel. It is a new year and everyone is trying to get it together. If we are making a fresh start for ourselves, why wouldn't we make a fresh start for our dogs? Biggie and Smalls are my babies. And I love Just Food for Dogs because it is real. It is fresh. It is 100% human-grade food. I don't love to eat ultra-processed junk, so I also don't want to give my dogs garbage and mystery kibble. I want real food in their bowl, real ingredients that I can recognize. And don't just take it from me. Just Food for Dogs is the #1 vet-recommended fresh dog food. So if you're cleaning up your act this year, do the same for your pets. They deserve it. Go to justfoodfordogs.com. 50% off your first box. You are welcome.
At Lowe's, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, members get free delivery, install, and more when you spend $2,500 on select major appliances. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 2/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Florida. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Visit your nearby Lowe's on East 17th Avenue in Hutchinson.
Body Bags with Joseph Scott Moore. I bet that folks will understand what I'm about to say. If you've got a mama or a grandma out there that when you were a kid, one of the ways they express their love to you is preparation of meal. And it's generally something that it might be simple. If you're a kid, for instance, fried chicken or spaghetti, perhaps. I still remember my grandmother's fried chicken. I'd put it up against anybody in the world. Best fried chicken in the world. But, there's a lot of effort that goes into preparing a meal. It's not something that, mamas don't get the credit. Grandmas don't get the credit they need to because, most chefs that are out there, they have this air of celebrity about them, right? Well, you know what they're absent that mamas and grandmas have when they're making food? That's love. And it's translated through food many times. It wasn't my case. And I think the more complex a recipe is, it's almost demonstrative of love because it takes so much time. And I'm thinking a meal I've always wanted to try, I've never had, Beef Wellington. It is a process to create this meal. I've always thought it would be delicious. But today we're going to go back to a case that we have covered previously, but now we have more information. It's a case of a mama who used Beef Wellington for murder. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags. Dave, I don't know that I've ever asked you this question. Thinking back, God rest her soul, your mama, what was the favorite thing that your mama made for you? Do you recall? Do you recall what it was?
Corned beef hash that I like with potatoes.
Yeah.
And thing is that I didn't realize that she made this really cheap dish, right? And because there are 7 people in our family,
right?
But it was one that I liked, right? And so she would always cook us our favorite meal for our birthdays growing up. And my favorite meal varied from time to time, but it always seemed to be, and I didn't know this till later, that they loved my birthday because it was always cheap. You know, whatever I was picking was the cheapest thing to make. And so, all right, cool.
Corned beef hash. You're going with that. Oh, that's all right, man. I love corned beef hash. I really do.
The things you learn later in life, you know?
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of money either. My favorite meal that my mama fixed was Swiss steak.
Oh, wow.
And it's a cheap cut of meat. Yeah. And you cook it till it falls apart, and it's got this tomato gravy with it. You put it over white rice, which...
I'm starving.
Coming from Louisiana, I didn't grow up on potatoes. You know, most people grow up on mashed potatoes, and I like mashed potatoes much, but we grew up on rice. My favorite, one of my favorite desserts that my Granny Pearl used to make was her rice pudding. There was nothing that could touch it. And the reason I'm pointing this out is that recipes and food and everything else they're made with love, brother. Right. I mean, they really are. And if you don't have a lot of money, I think there's a lot more love in it, dude. You know, because it's precious.
It's so funny that you mentioned this because my mom was a good cook. And I really took that for granted. And I was much older when I realized that my mom was a good cook. And then I realized the time she spent preparing it, right? But one dish she made meatloaf. Loved her meatloaf. And I went to my granny's. And I found out that not everybody can cook. Her meatloaf was from the devil. It was the worst. I was so excited. Oh, we're having meatloaf. Awesome. And one bite. And I'm not kidding. I aged 10 years and lost hair. It was so bad. Oh, my gosh. I was a little kid thinking, I've heard of kids hiding food, on the edge of their plate. And so I was trying to find ways that I could cough and get it in my napkin to hide it. Oh, it was so bad. I would rather have been hungry than be forced that. I'm like, how do you mess that up? My granny could not cook at all. Bless her heart.
Well, I can't say that. I never knew my other grandmother, but my Granny Pearl could cook so good. And here's the thing: when my mother didn't know how to cook either, but you know who she learned how to cook from? My Granny Pearl. My Granny Pearl was not even her mother. She was the mother of my father. My grandmother died while my mother was playing the piano for her. And so she died at like 16. And when my mother was 16, my grandmother died while she was playing the piano for her. Yeah, kind of wild story. But anyway, my mother had to learn how to cook from my father's mother.
Well, it had to been a fun kitchen to be in.
It was, and a lot of joy was there.
Oh, wow.
And, that's one of the things that we think about, don't we? We think about the joy that's associated with just going into a kitchen with people that love you and that are taking care of you. And that kind of brings us around to this story. And I'll go ahead and tell folks, we've already done an episode on this, and I was so fascinated by it because I'd never, in the course of my work as a death investigator, I've never had one of these.
Oh, really?
I've never had like someone purposed to prepare an entire meal based on a toxic substance. Now I've had things, we've covered things, everything from, cases with eye drops, all that sort of thing, that's entered into entered into a substance, where people can, drink it or ingest it that way. But this case, Dave, is so, I'll put it to you this way. This thing is covered in intent.
Mm-hmm.
I love the word intention or intent, because it really puts you into the mind of the person that's doing. This is not something you can just kind of manifest out of nowhere. This requires thought. And the reason it requires thought is that it involves the single most toxic mushroom on the face of the planet. Amanita phalloides is the actual, mushrooms are a fungus. So that's the actual scientific name of this particular fungus. But the actual name that it goes by, now dig this, is the death cap mushroom. And it looks like no other species that's out there. So this goes to intent, right? I mean, if you're a mushroom hunter, and I've got friends that do this, you're looking at these species that are on the ground. This thing is going to stand out like a sore thumb, man.
This is the update on the story of Erin Patterson in Australia, who used death cap mushrooms as a means of trying to kill family members. And what we have now found out, and the reason we're doing the update is because, of course, there's been a conviction. Not of course there's been a conviction, but we would not be doing the update had there not been a conviction. Right. So We're doing the update, but here's the reason for the update. It's not just that she's been convicted. Kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
We now have information, Joe, about what the jury did not hear. And when you follow cases, I will give you a quick example. Nancy Grace labeled Tot Mom. You remember back in the day. And the reason she labeled her, the story was covered many, many times. And the trial was covered full time, 24/7. There were many things that you and I saw as viewers that the jury was not privy to. The jury did not hear everything we heard and did not see everything we saw. The jury was kept away from these things. So when the jury says not guilty, we're like, how is that even possible? And it's because of the information that we now know as part of the story that they never knew. The same thing here.
Yeah.
The only difference being that this woman was convicted. She has not been sentenced yet. And yet now the gag order that was put in place from the beginning has been lifted, and information is coming out that is fairly dramatic. Kind of similar to BK in Idaho.
Yeah.
How after the sentencing, the evidence was released, that we didn't know. Well, this is here and now that we're finding out, Joe. It wasn't just the mushrooms. That was the what she used at the end. And I thought, there's something here psychologically. Where's Bethany or Karen? Because she used death cap mushrooms, as the coup de grace.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I hold, and I will remain steadfast in this assessment. Poisoners are a different breed. They are, you remember we recently covered Anjet Lyles from back in the 50s.
Yep.
And they are a different breed. They weasel their way into people's lives where they want something. Now, this is a mother, a daughter-in-law. I don't know how you'd really frame it. She's got kids, but what is she looking to extract from this action that she's perpetrating? With Anjet Lyles, it was a money thing, because all these people had insurance policies and all this. With this lady down there in Australia, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she was turning in her pay slips for revenge relative to being in a marriage she did not want to be in. It was aimed at not just her husband, but his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really amazing about this, Dave, is that her husband was a preacher, and she was a preacher's wife.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Now I'd like to introduce you to Meaningful Beauty, the famed skincare brand created by iconic supermodel Cindy Crawford. It's her secret to absolutely gorgeous skin. Meaningful Beauty makes powerful and effective skincare simple, and it's loved by millions of women. It's formulated for all ages and all skin tones and types, and it's designed to work as a complete skincare system, leaving your skin feeling soft, smooth, and nourished. I recommend starting with Cindy's full regimen, which contains all 5 of her best-selling products, including the amazing youth-activating Melon Serum. This next generation serum has the power of melon leaf stem cell technology. It's melon leaf stem cells encapsulated for freshness and released onto the skin to support a visible reduction in the appearance of wrinkles. With thousands of glowing 5-star reviews, why not give it a try? Subscribe today and you can get the amazing Meaningful Beauty system for just $49.95. That includes our introductory 5-piece system, free gifts, free shipping, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. All of that available at meaningfulbeauty.com.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. It is a new year and everyone is trying to get it together. If we are making a fresh start for ourselves, why wouldn't we make a fresh start for our dogs? Biggie and Smalls are my babies. And I love Just Food for Dogs because it is real. It is fresh. It is 100% human grade food. I don't love to eat ultra-processed junk, so I also don't want to give my dogs garbage and mystery kibble. I want real food in their bowl, real ingredients that I can recognize. And don't just take it from me. Just Food for Dogs is the #1 vet-recommended fresh dog food. So if you're cleaning up your act this year, do the same for your pets. They deserve it. Go to justfoodfordogs.com. 50% off your first box. You are welcome.
So Erin Patterson set out in this preparation of this meal, and the preparation is not just her standing in the kitchen, Dave. The preparation with this meal is her actually slipping off to a very specific location to acquire these mushrooms, Dave. That's, I talked about intent and purpose and this
Right.
sort of thing. And let me break this down to you real quick. Did you know that the death cap mushroom is not indigenous to Australia?
What?
It's not. Yeah, it's not. It's actually, it originates out of Europe. Now we have them here in the U.S. now.
Uh-huh.
So this is something that at some point in time, someone had to import or bring in the spore or whatever it was into Australia. Now, look, I mean,
Wow.
as far as deadly things, Australia of has raised the bar for everybody else.
Wow.
The last thing they needed was something called the death cap mushroom.
I'm just surprised that their flag doesn't have like a skull and crossbones, you know?
Yeah. It says poison like that.
Right.
You know? Lovely people. I love my Aussie friends. But yeah, I got to tell you, as Americans, you scare us. All right. I'll just put it to you that way. I'm not going swimming. And I'm checking under my bed.
Let me ask you quickly, Joe, is the death cap mushroom only deadly if prepared a certain way, or is it I'm kicking around mushrooms, I'm getting something from my spaghetti, and hey, here's one, this one's just fine, it looks like everything else, and I put it in there and I die?
Yeah, I don't know that there's any way that you can prepare this thing for individuals without it being, you know, there's like that, I'm going to get this wrong, I know that folks out there that are gourmet types,
sure,
there is a fish that the Japanese prepare,
right?
And it's considered to be a delicacy, but it's also one of the most deadly fish, you know, that's out there. So even with that fish, you can still eat it if it's prepared correctly. I'm going to take a long look at the person that's preparing it. I got to know who they are before I would put it in my mouth. Well, I'm not going to put it in my mouth. But with death cap, I don't know that there's necessarily any way that you can prepare a meal utilizing this thing so that it's not toxic, man. And again, that goes.
Somebody brought it to your country. Somebody from outside said, "You know what? We don't have this kind of mushroom in Australia. There's no reason it's going to kill you if you eat it, but let's get it. Let's get it here."
Yeah, even animals.
Wow.
I think the indigenous fauna,
right,
in Europe, in America, and I would assume in Australia, they automatically recognize it and avoid it.
Wow.
So you're talking about Erin Patterson, who goes out and, yeah, she recognized it all right, but she's picking these things
on purpose. On purpose.
And
by the way, it was the Japanese pufferfish is what you were looking at. Pufferfish earlier.
You're right.
I only know that from the horrible Charlie's Angels remake that Drew made back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another thing. I don't know if it's transdermal, if it has to be ingested. So would she, I'm assuming she would have worn gloves to pick these things. Is it a matter of I know that animals avoid it. So you're going to put your hands on this thing. I mean, you're really getting, and here's another thing that's kind of clever about this. I think it's not like arsenic or strychnine or something like that, where we've had these discussions about over the years, Dave, you and I, about, did they screen for it? Well, they didn't screen for it, but you can go back with other samples and look for it. Who in the hell's going to look for a death cap mushroom? It's something that is exotic. It's almost like one of these things that's like the perfect poison, I think, if you can get the person to ingest it. And how are you going to do that? Not everybody. I know a lot of people, my son included, that won't eat mushrooms. There's just something they find repugnant about them. They want me. I'll sit there and I will eat mushrooms. You don't eat mushrooms.
I would go on a fast. I would fast before I did that. Yeah. Just letting you know.
I don't, for instance, I don't eat carrots. Carrots all taste like dirt to me. I come from a family of carrot eaters. Why don't you eat these? But mushrooms, you let me eat mushrooms. I'll eat mushrooms all day long. So I don't know. I may have been the person that would have ingested one. Oh God, that looks great. But it doesn't look great when you actually see this thing, Dave. First off, you know how mushrooms have kind of a dome on them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These things don't have a dome. They're flat. The top end is not pitched like you think. They're flat. And here's the other big warning sign here. This thing has got this odd green color to it. I mean, it's like when you see this thing, it kind of captures. I urge anybody that has not seen this thing, please go out there, just look it up, death cap mushrooms. You'll see precisely. It almost looks like if you turn the lights off, it would glow. It's got that kind of that appearance, that creepy appearance,
Right.
And there are certain fungi out there that do, in fact, glow. I don't think this is one of it, but it looks like it has the potential to glow. I'm not putting anything in my mouth that can glow, all right, or that's this color. Dave, she picked these things under the guise of being a mushroom hunter. I think from a forensic standpoint, I'd be curious what else was in that house that had a level of toxicity to it that maybe she had utilized over a period of time, trying to, and again, like we've talked about before, poisoners are stealthy. Was there any other thing that you would throw it? It's like this dentist recently that's been in the news.
Oh yeah,
that has now been convicted. He literally threw the kitchen sink, and this is a guy with medical training,
right?
And he was using a combination of heavy metals and other things just to throw at his wife, put in her protein shake, and she had no idea that this was coming. But the story, Dave, the story of her husband, that is Erin Patterson's husband, is something that will chill you to the bone, and that on reflection will make you double over in pain.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Hi, I'm Cindy Crawford, and I'm the founder of Meaningful Beauty. When Dr. Sabah and I decided to do a skincare line together, he said to me, "We are going to give women meaningful beauty." And I said, "That's exactly right. We want to give women meaningful beauty, which means each and every product is meaningful. It has a reason to exist. It's efficacious. You're going to get results. And then you just go out and live your life."
Meaningful Beauty. Confidence is beautiful. Learn more at meaningfulbeauty.com.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. It is a new year, new us, and why not new year, new dogs? The dogs need to be healthier as well. I have the same conversation with myself about my furry babies, Biggie and Smalls. This is why they love Just Food for Dogs, real, fresh, 100% human-grade food, ingredients you can pronounce and recognize: beef, sweet potatoes, green beans. Are you getting hungry? Well, so are your furry babies. Choosing dog food is very confusing, and we don't spend as much time on it as we do for ourselves. Every brand claims to be fresh and natural and healthy, so you have to tune out the marketing and listen to the experts. Just Food for Dogs is the #1 vet-recommended fresh dog food. If you're cleaning up your act this year, do the same for your dog. They deserve the best, just like you do. Go to justfoodfordogs.com, 50% off your first box. You are welcome.
I want you to remember these names. Gail Patterson, she's 70. Don Patterson, he's 70. These, by the way, are the former, and I say former, in-laws of Erin Patterson. Heather Wilkinson who is the sister of Gail Patterson, 66. She's dead. All right. And then that brings us to Pastor Ian Wilkinson, who is the husband of Heather Wilkinson. He didn't die, but he's in a hospital awaiting a liver transplant. And this particular mushroom attacks specifically the liver. Dave, there are not too many things that are more horrific than someone dying of liver failure. It is not a quick death. It's something that requires intensive medical intervention. And so much so, the toxicity of this mushroom is such that if you do survive all the treatments leading up to a transplant, just going through the detoxing of this thing, there's actually a process where they have to detoxify your esophagus and your stomach through the treatment plan in order to do this, which absolutely sounds horrific, so that they can get you up to the level where you can actually receive a new liver if there's one available. This thing's like a death sentence, Dave.
Well, it is the death cap mushroom, and there you go. But when we look at how Erin Patterson has been convicted of what she did to this group of family members, there was one person that was supposed to be at the dinner that was not there, and that was her ex-husband. Okay, and they have children together. So getting together and having family meals, I say ex-husband, they actually were not divorced, Joe. They had separated and filed legal paperwork. But right. Even now, as we're doing this update on the show where we're waiting for her to be sentenced, they still are not divorced legally. So it would not be an uncommon thing for them to all get together and have a meal because of the children. We're talking about grandchildren, nieces, nephews, those, that there was a reason for the family to get together and eat. What we're doing today is to update you on things the jury didn't hear, which is the fact that Erin Patterson's husband was due at the dinner, and she prepared this beef Wellington with the mushroom sauce or gravy, whatever you call it. She prepared it for him. That's who the target was. Now, the fact that all of his relatives, the people he loved dearest in his life, were all there too. So that was just icing on top for Erin Patterson, apparently. But the ex didn't show up. He did not. He bowed out. He found a reason to not go. And I'm guessing he got kind of an icky feeling. There's something going on here. So now we have this information the jury never got. They came to a guilty verdict. But, oh, my gosh, Joe, what did the jury not hear about Erin Patterson?
Well, the thing that they didn't hear about Erin Patterson is that her husband, Simon Patterson, he had been, how's a delicate way to put this? Well, we don't have to be delicate. He had been poisoned before, and he had suspected this over a protracted period of time. Dig this, man. He had, in fact, been placed in the hospital on at least 3 different times. She allegedly, and this is what the jury wound up finding out, that she had tried to murder him with pasta, cookies, and curry sauce. And all of these involved the death cap mushroom. And he was in a medically, imagine this, he was in a medically induced coma for 16 days.
Wow.
Isn't it weird how your eyes, how you can be blinded, I think, by, an emotional attachment or whatever it is to those commonalities when you're looking at this from an investigative perspective. When we don't have a dog in the fight, if we're conducting an investigation, we just want to know the truth, right? Not why. We just want to know the truth. What? Okay. There's commonality that runs through this. Well, she's always present. And so when this information comes to the police, I believe the investigators in Australia, when you begin to think about Simon, the husband, there is a history here of him being just horribly ill. I mean, right on the brink of death. We would say 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on banana peel. I mean, he's that close. And he's had to be induced into a coma. He's had 3 emergency surgeries. And it's unclear as to the nature of each one of these surgeries. However, I'm suspecting with the toxicity of this mushroom, it's not a native species. Probably not a lot that the medical community understands about it. These surgeries, to a certain extent, have to be exploratory. Imagine that, because they're trying to understand what they're looking at. It's almost like lifting the hood on a car that is malfunctioning, and you're trying to make a diagnosis about, well, what's causing this rattle inside of my car? And those things that you normally think of, I think, as a mechanic, where you're trying to resolve something, yeah, that might be part of it, but there's a bigger picture here, and it's really hard to understand this. But Dave, I don't know what you think about it. I think that he had suspected this for some time. That might be one of the reasons he was not about to go to that house and ingest anything.
I think you're right. We know that, and now we're back to the information that the jury never heard. And thankfully, the jury heard enough, to actually come up with a conviction for what she did. But what they didn't hear is that Simon, the ex, had suffered. And he used one example in particular. It involved Tupperware. Whenever you talk about Tupperware, I'm thinking this was intentional. Unless it was like leftovers, you use Tupperware for leftovers and eat them the next couple of days, you're all good. But if somebody is preparing something in Tupperware, you can do a lot with that. And apparently she was doing something with bologna. And I know that's the improper way to say it when you're mixing it with penny pasta and all that and making an actual dish. Right. Bolognese. Yeah. But anyway, he eats this thing she prepares, and this is before the death. This is back several years ago. And after eating the food, Simon ended up spending the night in the hospital after suffering from vomiting and diarrhea. How bad is your vomiting and diarrhea that you go to the hospital? Think about that for just a minute. Yeah. How many of us have had a bug and we've dealt with it, for a day or two, and you're like weak, but it's going to pass. And this is so bad. It is so intense that you're going, something is really wrong. As an adult, we get to that point, and you're going, I'm thinking, this guy, holy free holies, he must have been in misery, Joe.
Yeah, and I think that it would have been the type of gastrointestinal discomfort where he would have been doubled over. I think that perhaps if he had died at that moment in time, at his autopsy, you would have seen severe inflammation in his stomach and probably in his upper intestinal tract at that point in time. Wow. It's something you would have appreciated. And of course, over a period of time, as they are at the hospital trying to resolve it, there will be, the body's going to heal of its own volition, and it will subside. And so any of those, the irritated bowel, the irritated stomach, those sorts of things are going to dissipate over a period of time. So there won't be necessarily, your body is going to metabolize all of this poison, but you have to have the help of medical science in order to do this, to facilitate it.
Wow.
Here, let me throw this little spine chiller at you real quick. Imagine being doubled over, the porcelain throne, throwing your guts up, and this gremlin is still in the house with you. Maybe she's feigning, trying to comfort him or whatever it is. Knowing good and well that the reason this is happening is because of something she's initiated. Yeah, I would say, the gag order was in place. I would say that, now that that's been lifted, this history of this and this is not a one-off event, Dave.
No, it happened again. Yeah. And you mentioned curry when we started, and it was the first time was the bologna penny pasta. But then again, again, those symptoms are so bad. He goes to the hospital with vomiting and diarrhea, recovers. And then the next time, boom, it's chicken this time, Joe. And this is what he said. This is the pretrial stuff the jury didn't hear, a direct quote. We had a chicken korma curry on the second night. While Erin was preparing food, I was getting the fire going, so I didn't watch her prepare it. He ends up with the same symptoms, diarrhea, vomiting. And I'm going to be honest, Joe, one time I had a bad reaction to the food. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Happens the second time. Second time I touch your food and I end up in the toilet, I'm calling 911, headed to the hospital and saying, lock her up.
Well, love is blind, man. And you never know. You never know if the forces of evil have marshaled their forces on your border at this point in time. You don't suspect that. Who actually goes through their life thinking, oh yeah, my wife is trying to murder me.
Right.
And it's not until we have these other souls that have passed on in this horrific, we use the term massacre a lot. And I think most people think about a massacre as bloodletting. And, again, I asked folks to return back to, we did an episode recently on Jonestown, and that was a massacre. And yeah, there were people that died in that event that died as a result of gunshot wounds and those sorts of things. But, a massacre can take place, I think, by introducing this toxin into an environment. Here's another piece that I was reflecting in my mind that I forgot to say. Those kids were in the house that night that this happened. She prepared a separate meal for them.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, talk about intent. So you're going to prepare. Why aren't the kids eating from the same dish as all of the adults? Now you can say, well, they don't like mushrooms. They don't like this. They don't like that.
I think that's what she said.
Yeah.
They don't like mushrooms.
Yeah. They don't like them. But boy, did she saw utility in them, Dave. This is just mind blowing that this woman could massacre this family almost. Well, and you've still got another guy that is so ill. He's going to require a liver transplant. I remember talking about this the first time. I'm wondering if the husband at this point, and this is not really revealed in the stuff that was released, other than psychological scarring, I wonder if he's going to have long-term impacts, regarding these things that he has endured at her hand. Just physically, is it, what's going to be your prognosis, moving out into the future? I don't know. I don't know what that might be, but it would be interesting. And these cases, I have to say, Dave, these three cases, just so I can put this in this framework, these three cases of the people that died, this is the stuff of forensic medical journals here. These three cases are going to be something that in our world are going to be studied scientifically. I submit to you that the tissue samples alone will be presented at forensic seminars and meetings over the next few years, where they'll actually take a blown up image of a slide that has come from the upper and lower intestine, probably the stomach, the liver, and they'll begin to describe on the screen, this is what they're seeing. And there will be, you go to a lot of these seminars, and there are people that I've come across, people that are just kind of sleeping in the back. This will be one of those cases, or these cases will be things where you will have knowledgeable forensic scientists that will actually lean in.
Wow.
They're going to lean in, and they're going to really observe this and try to understand it. And it's terrifying because, as in the forensic world, one of the things you're always worried about is that you're missing something. You're missing something. And my Lord, Dave, this case in and of itself it would be really easy to miss something. And then how do you know that this perpetrator is still not out there? And as it turns out, she was for a period of time. It's not something that kind of snapped off real quick. Yeah.
Something else we found out, Joe, during the things the jury did not hear. Simon, actually, the ex, went further in describing other situations. It wasn't just once or twice. There were several times where he had a bad reaction to the food that now he's playing back in his head, that went on over different periods of time. But one thing in particular that came out, he actually goes to a friend of his who was a medical doctor and was talking about the symptoms and things like that. And was he having some kind of food allergy? Was there something going on, because things change as we get older. Things that we might not have been allergic to as a child, we're allergic to as an adult, and vice versa. Oh, yeah. But the doctor said, you need to keep a journal, keep a food journal of what you're doing and document when, you have these issues. Maybe we can pinpoint it. And being a medical doctor, he was watching this. But now we find out that when Simon went back to the doctor and was talking to him, that they had a discussion about how Erin Patterson, now convicted, actually claimed that Simon's daughter had made a batch of cookies for him. And she kept asking him, have you tried the cookies yet? Have you tried the cookies yet? And I'm going to be honest, man, you asked me once, I understand that. You asked me 2 or 3 times, I ain't touching those things, And so they actually, it's not known, what Erin had been doing, but investigators suspect that there was rat poison in at least one occasion, and probably in these cookies that he never ate. It's just interesting that you think, what did she put in those that he didn't eat? I mean, it just boggles the mind, and I can't imagine. How do you eat after that?
They're taking and I say they, I mean her, taking taking a shotgun approach to this thing.
Right.
Okay. This doesn't work. Let me try this. And it might not necessarily be the toxin that's being introduced. It might be the way it's being introduced.
Right.
Because look, I've had people that have made cookies, and dude, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say I love cookies. I mean, I'd be insane not to. I love cookies, and I'm going to gobble them down. But I've had instances where cookies have been provided for me, and were cooked specifically for me, and I didn't get a chance to eat them. All right. It all depends on the delivery mechanism for this. When I think that when you look at this and you look at it from the perspective of what's fascinating to me is that most of the time with the death cap, you've got this kind of long progression. It's not long. It's like a period of about 48 hours. It's saying you immediate onset, you're going to have nausea and vomiting. I don't think there's really delirium, but you're disoriented, that sort of thing. And it's at that point in time that this thing goes into kind of this phase where it's kind of a latent phase. And that's after, and latent just means it kind of sits there, right? So, how you were saying that, he had gone to the hospital as a result of vomiting that first time, and it kind of passed. Well, you go into a latent phase after that, and that can be, and it's kind of broad. It's could be for 12 to 36 hours.
Oh, wow.
When that wave begins to pass. And silently in the background, the toxins are still there. And now they're being taken up. And what are they attacking? Well, they've moved on at this point from attacking the gastrointestinal system. Now they're hammering on the kidneys and the liver. This is almost a perfect toxin, if you think about it, because if you're being treated with standard medical course, the clinicians think, oh, okay, we got him past it. He's going to be fine. And then it kind of goes into this mode of where symptomology disappears. All the while in the background, your kidneys are beginning to shut down. Your liver is failing. They're looking at this person on bed, can you imagine? And they're starting to turn yellow because they're jaundiced. And, you're a clinician, you're thinking, where am I going to go next? What the? How did this happen? Because I think that they're clearing at this point in time. And then once they hit that phase, after the latent phase, it's at that point in time that the airplane's flown into the side of the mountain at that point. There's no reasonable recovery, except in certain cases where this other poor soul is, needs a liver now. If you can stem it through the clinical course and you recognize it soon enough, you're not going to be able to save the liver. You're not going to be able, and I submit to you, I think that, and this is why I'm really concerned about the husband, what's going to be his prognosis, because I think that it attacks the liver and the kidneys. Will he present down the road, Dave, where he's going to need dialysis?
Wow.
In his later years. This
after what he's been through already. Holy moly.
Yeah. And maybe it might be, it's hard to really know, Dave, but just think about, it might be where years down the road from now, he's kind of stabilized at this point, but his organs have been compromised to the point where, say, if he had not been exposed to it, otherwise it would be a survivable event. But now you might be, and this is her. Just let this sink in. This is her reaching through the bars of their cell, metaphorically, of course, and still inflicting this pain on this man. The proposition is that he might have liver failure in the future. He's going to have kidney failure in the future, and not to mention all the other peripheral toxic things that might manifest with this. I don't know. I mean, I think the folks down in Australia, this thing popped onto our radar. I remember when we did it, it popped onto our radar and it made a big splash because it was so incredibly bizarre that you and I had never heard of this. We'd never seen it. I told you I'd never worked a case like this before. I worked a case of poisonings, but Dave, this is something that's naturally occurring, out there in the woods. You can go and pluck these things and bring them in, chop them up, and render them down and create a gravy out of them, or whatever it is you're going to use, or maybe slice and dice these things and lay them, all over this beautiful creation. And people are going to stick this in their mouth. And it doesn't matter how much heat you subject it to in the oven, it's still going to be toxic. All right. And she had an understanding of this. I think investigatively, what would be fascinating, did she go on to an open source on the internet? What could I use? And suddenly she stumbles upon, the mushroom. It's no different than, of course, they don't have many firearms down in Australia anymore, but it's kind of like, what weapon do I need to choose? Am I going to use a 38 caliber revolver, or am I going to use, an M4 5.56? What? It's the same thing. I'd be interested to know if she had a browser history, if they grabbed that and began to look through it for her to kind of, understand what's going to be the best solution for these problems that she has in her life. And of course, she felt as though that it was going to be killing the entire family, Dave.
I do have a tip for you. Yeah. During the investigation, they were doing digital forensics on phones, computers, things like that. And what they did find is that she searched for pictures of death cap mushrooms so that she could identify them, obviously, because she went and picked them herself. So, yeah, you've got that. And that happened, of course, before she cooked the meal. So, yeah, you talk about intent. There's your intent right there. There is.
Oh, and her argument is, you don't understand. I'm just interested in mushrooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many other things did you search for in the, in this family, specifically? Bizarre case. I hope for the best for this family, for this man, the other gentleman that has suffered such pain in that initial attack. There's nothing that can ever assuage the pain of what he's been through. And certainly the others involved in this, these children, are going to get past or have the ability to get past, because this is something they will be scarred with for the rest of their life. I'll put it to you this way. Every time in the future that fork goes into food and that's lifted to their lips, that memory of what their mama and their wife had done will always linger in the background. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be With Bethany Frankel. It is a new year and everyone is trying to get it together. If we are making a fresh start for ourselves, why wouldn't we make a fresh start for our dogs? Biggie and Smalls are my babies. And I love Just Food for Dogs because it is real. It is fresh. It is 100% human grade food. I don't love to eat ultra processed junk. So I also don't want to give my dogs garbage and mystery kibble. I want real food in their bowl, real ingredients that I can recognize. And don't just take it from me. Just Food for Dogs is the #1 vet recommended fresh dog food. So if you're cleaning up your act this year, do the same for your pets. They deserve it. Go to justfoodfordogs.com. 50% off your first box. You are welcome.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again. But if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
This Sunday, iHeartRadio brings you live to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl 60 tailgate concert, presented by NetApp. It's the ultimate pregame party, featuring an exclusive performance from Teddy Swims. Your front row experience will be on iHeartRadio stations across the country and the free iHeartRadio app this Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Then, after the concert, tune in to the Super Bowl 60 pregame show on NBC.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.